Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. And today I'm joined by Dr. David Schmidt. David is CEO of LifeWave, a leading health and wellness company he founded in 2004. Following a long career in business and development, the CEO created the company to help customers tap into their own potential for physical revitalization and youthfulness. Now, David, I've been using your product for many months now, and the results have been absolutely amazing. So very, very happy that you wanted to come on and talk more about your product. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Looking forward to the chat today. And I should make one correction, though, is that I'm not a medical doctor, and I got an honorary doctorate from the International Hall of Fame many years ago now, but I don't use that title in any type of capacity. So,
Okay.
so sometimes people refer to me as doctor, but that's what it refers back to. So I don't have a
Gotcha.
PhD or an MD. Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know. Now, the how I found out about you is many years ago. I was a Navy SEAL, and we have a special program that has submarines and so forth, SEAL delivery vehicles, as we call them. And I'd heard through the grapevine that there were some interesting things that were happening with the guys that were using some high-tech gear, that some of the stuff that you developed. So it's kind of like a black project. So they didn't give you all the information on it, but later I saw you talking about some of this. Can you kind of give us a background on that?
Yeah, sure. That was back in the 1990s, and I had a group with four other guys where we were developing survival equipment for the U.S. Navy through government contractors. So two of the companies that we were working with were General Dynamics Electric Boat and Newport News Shipbuilding. So the type of things that we developed were emergency power generation systems, emergency oxygen supplies. We had if you've ever seen a Sabre 5 rescue radio, which was back in the day, I developed a battery fuel cell hybrid for that, so that if you were in a submarine and you wouldn't have to worry about charging batteries, you could literally fill this radio with seawater and it would generate electricity.
Wow.
So I was developing those kind of things, and I gave a presentation on a speculative technology that I had developed that happened to work, and I was invited into Black Project for this SEAL mini sub, and I was asked to see what type of contribution I could make to it. And the thing, I've been interested in health and fitness my entire life, and I thought, okay, well, I don't like the idea that these guys are going to have to take caffeine or some kind of amphetamines to stay awake for the type of hours that we were talking about. So maybe I can come up with something to give the guys natural energy and keep them awake without harming their health.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And I kind of heard through the grapevine that was really helping guys out, because I can vouch, being underwater for a very, very long time, hours and hours, because we have these rebreathers, oxygen rebreathers and stuff like that. Now, these guys are on subs and they go even longer. They stay down for 2-3 times more than, those of us that are diving, with just our fins and stuff. So these guys on the mini sub stay down for extremely long time in extremely cold water sometimes. So yeah, it really saps the energy. I remember coming off dives and just like eating everything. So I can't imagine, those guys.
Yeah.
So they must have really loved you.
Well, this actually, that's kind of interesting. This was something that was discovered about Michael Phelps and other elite level swimmers, is that they had to consume thousands of calories per day, 6, 7, 8,000 calories. And but of course, these guys are very lean and muscular. And what was found is that when you're in the body, when you're in the water for that period of time, the body elevates its temperature to compensate for the cold water. So you end up burning a lot of extra calories and not storing those calories as fat. So turns out that swimming in cold water is a great way to boost testosterone and to lose some extra pounds. But from a survivability point of view, yeah, having tech to compensate for that is great.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad you brought up the testosterone because that's very interesting. I know you have a new product that's coming out. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So Suzanne Summers, I know she is really into testosterone, and she's talked about your glutathione patch, and she talked about it like 12 years ago. And so you've been out there for a long time. She supported your work. She talked about you in her book. So tell us a little bit about your how you met Suzanne Summers and how that worked out.
Yeah, that was pretty remarkable. I had the privilege of meeting Suzanne. I think it goes back to maybe 2005, 2006 now. And I had met her through a business friend that was in the direct response industry. And we were looking at could we do any type of advertising that could support the growth of the business and support the activity of our distributors. So I had the opportunity to sit down, meet with Suzanne and her husband, Alan, and it turned out to be about a 3-hour presentation. And at the end, Suzanne said to me, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm the guy in high school that you would never date," right? Because I was such a geek, in high school. But yeah, no, it formed a very long relationship, and I ended up being in a number of her books, actually 4 of her books, and we covered topics like glutathione, anti-aging, and then yeah, other things of that nature. So
Yeah, I actually have a little clip of her. If you don't mind, I'll show that little clip where she talks about your patches.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Yeah, okay. So here she is. She's quite a stunning woman. I mean, she's aged very well.
She has. She's a remarkable woman.
Absolutely.
But we have in our system a natural detoxification system called glutathione. I interviewed in Breakthrough, my last year's book, a scientist who was hired by the Department of Defense to develop a nanotechnology solution to keeping their submariners up for 36 or more hours without drugs. In doing so, he also created a nanotechnology patch that detoxed the body called the glutathione patch. I've got one right here. You can go to SuzanneSummers.com, click on LifeWave. It goes directly to their link, and they will tell you all about it and how to get it.
Is this a little patch that you put on and then wear for 24 hours a day?
What glutathione patches are is organic amino acids that access the infrared light in our body. That's very hard.
All right, we'll stop her there because you can go much deeper into this, but she was doing a pretty good job there. Tell us about, tell us about this. This is amazing technology. You're like Albert Einstein and Tesla combined here. So it's pretty amazing.
Well, I'm a Tesla fan, so I'll definitely take that as a compliment. Yeah, what we're doing with this is we're using a natural principle called photobiomodulation. And a good way to think about this, you and I are both in Florida, so you go out in the sun and the sun gives you a tan. Sun will elevate vitamin D. For men that want to increase their testosterone levels naturally, there's androgen receptors on the trapezius muscles. So you go out in the sun during the day and get some sunlight, UV light up there, and it'll elevate your testosterone levels. But this is a principle where specific wavelengths of light will cause an increase in different biochemicals in the body. So this is very well substantiated now with well over 5,000 clinical studies in the literature. So what I did was I didn't want to use an active light source like LEDs or lamps or anything like that. And so I began to develop a device that when activated by your body heat and using your body heat as a power source could reflect or stimulate the skin with very low levels of light and trigger these biochemical changes. So for elite level athletes like the SEALs or anyone that wants to stay healthy, in this case, glutathione is extremely important because it's the body's master antioxidant. It'll support detoxification pathways in the liver, and it will also increase athletic performance, as well as protect things like the hearing and eyesight.
Excellent. So I've used, you have this gray patch. It's an energy enhancer.
Yeah.
And I saw this. It was shared with me that Phil Feister used that. And the world's strongest man. So he's been like, ranked very highly, and he's been #1. There's a little clip that I like to share with him real quick, if I could.
Sure.
Excellent. So here's Phil. He's kind of like, talking about how he's gonna win, and he actually shows the patch there towards the end. So we'll play this real quick. There's those energy patches. So, if you want to be #1 in your game, because I've definitely tried the energy patches, and it's like the energy, because I use energy drinks and stuff like that. I know probably a lot of people have that are, into fitness. And it kind of like, some of them are like, gives you an edge. It's not really good. And they're good. It increases your energy to a certain extent, but it kind of on the other end of that, it's not so good. So the energy patches that you have are absolutely phenomenal. So you have, like you see, like we saw in the picture, there's one that goes on each side of the body. And I put it on the upper, because I heard you say it in your last conference. You put some on the upper body and the lower body. So I started using them on the lower body as well. And my energy level when I go to the gym is phenomenal. And for me, I'm almost 62, just a few days away. So it really makes a difference now, the type of energy and stuff that I use.
If we look at what happens inside the cell, there's no question caffeine is a performance enhancer. That's actually why U.S. Olympics, or actually the Olympic Committee, bans caffeine above a certain level, because it absolutely improves performance. But from a health perspective, it has some pretty damaging effects. It can increase oxidative stress on the cell. So there's a price to pay from using too much caffeine. But the good news is that the body already has a system for making energy naturally. It's just that as we age, the capacity that we have to convert carbohydrates and fats over into energy declines. So what these patches are designed to do is stimulate the skin with light, so it will increase fat burning. It's a process called beta oxidation. And this also turns out to be an anti-aging phenomena as well, meaning that as we increase fat burning, we're expanding the cell and we're improving the function of the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell. So, and this is something that people experience when they're 50, a decline in mitochondrial function. So by using this mechanism, not only can we get more energy naturally, but it has long-lasting anti-aging effects.
Nice. So your top seller, your LifeWave X39, it's basically, does a lot of stuff. It does pain relief, reduces inflammation, which is one of the major causes of diseases, supports wound healing, energy and vitality, like we've been talking about, mental clarity, enhances sport performance. So it's basically doing a lot of stuff in that one, patch. And it's amazing, those patches. So I'll give everybody a little view. They're very, very small little patches, and you put them on like pressure points on your body, and it stimulates that, and it starts to do their thing, like we've been talking about. Why is the X39 so pervasive and hits so many different things like that? What's going on with that technology?
Yeah, this was about 10 years in development, and we had a mission to get into stem cells and regenerative medicine. And today we have over 80 patents in that field. So we learned quite a bit along the way, and we developed some very interesting technology, and X39 was one of the things that came out of that program. So the basic idea behind this is that everyone has stem cells in their body, and every cell that you have was once a stem cell. So a good way for people to think about this is stem cells are the universal cells in the body, and they begin to divide and differentiate, and then they become liver cells, kidney cells, muscle tissue, and what have you. So the problem is that the stem cells age with the rest of the body. And the future of stem cell medicine is incredible, because imagine being able, I'm going to be turning 60 next year. So imagine, you get to 60, 70, 80, and you can get an injection of cells that are 20 years old, right? That's going to be wonderful. We're not quite there yet. In the meantime, the idea behind this is, what if we could reset the stem cells that are already in your body to a younger, healthier state? Then they would do a better job at making new cells, healing damaged tissue, healing injuries, improving energy, relieving pain through repair of damaged tissue. And so what we found in our testing and in our clinical studies, we have over 9 clinical studies now just on this one product, is that we could elevate a peptide in the body called GHKCU. It's a copper peptide. And what this peptide does is it resets about 1/3 of the human genome to a more youthful state. And as a result, one of the genes that it turns on is called P63. This causes the stem cells to mobilize and be more active in the body. So to summarize that, you put on the patch, nothing goes in the body. It simply stimulates the skin with light. This will elevate copper peptide, and the copper peptide will reset genes that mobilize the stem cells. So the net end effect is people feel better, they heal faster, and they have less pain and better recovery from sports and things like that.
Yeah, outstanding. And you have a broad range of the patches that cover a lot of different things. Age reversal, pain. If you have pain in the body, I've used the ones for the pain. It's like almost instantaneous when you put
Right.
the patches on. It's like, it's unbelievable. Obviously reducing inflammation very quickly. And then I was able to go work out, because normally, like I had my knee shattered in a training accident when I was in the SEAL teams. So it's been a constant struggle, to keep relevant in my workouts and so forth. So that's really helped me out quite a bit. The the energy patches and the pain patches, very, very nice. So your technologies are pushing the envelope in a lot of different areas. Now, you just came out in your conference in Orlando just recently with a new drone technology, and this drone technology is just blowing away, because I know you talk about how Amazon has this little helicopter drone that carries 10 or 15 pounds,
Right.
and it's only good for half an hour or whatever. But your drone can stay up for hours or days and carries over 100 pounds. Where are you coming up with all this technology? It's amazing.
Yeah, so back in the 90s, we were developing power generation equipment. And what happened was, we were focused, we still are very focused on new tech in agriculture. So developing systems where people can grow beyond organic foods right in the comfort of their own home and things like that. So we're reaching beyond just simple health technology. But my son was lacking a little bit direction as far as where he wanted to go in life. Really wasn't certain about what career path to take. So I had said to him, why don't you come and work with me, and we'll work on a project together. And he said, well, I don't know, what kind of project you want to work on? And he loves anything that flies. I've taken him, parasailing and parachuting and all these things. So I said, okay, well, why don't we work on some type of drone, some type of aircraft? And he goes, oh, that's really cool. Let's go ahead and do that. So I decided to look back on some of the experience that I had in the 90s, and I started to think about what opportunities might exist with drones. And the way that I began to look at this is that drones are in their infancy, in the sense that computers were in the 70s. And there's an opportunity for a company to come along, if they have the right technology, and be the next Microsoft, be the next Apple in the drone industry. So I thought, how can we do things? And the first observation that I made was that what other companies were doing were taking off-the-shelf motors, battery systems, and they were building out, their own quadcopter designs and fixed wing designs. And I thought, oh, okay, there's an opportunity here. Let's change the thinking about this. Let's create a technology to power this drone and then build the drone around it. So instead of using things off the shelf, we decided to build and make our own power plant. We also wanted to do this where it was going to be environmentally responsible. And what we ended up with was the drone, the exhaust out of the drone is actually cleaner than the surrounding air. So I like to say that it cleans the air as it flies.
Nice.
And so it's way cleaner than an electric vehicle and much, much cleaner and more efficient than a traditional gas-powered engine. And the drone that we have as our prototype that we've been showing off has a 15-foot wingspan. It's a fixed wing. It will carry, we estimate, between 250, 280 pounds.
Wow.
And we will have flight times in excess of 50 hours.
Wow. That's amazing.
And that's enough to break Lockheed's world record for drone flight. So, which I'd be thrilled with.
Absolutely. And the other side of this, we're kind of talking about this great high tech stuff, but you have a big heart, and you're doing that too, because as we know, a lot of things out there aren't managed well. And one of those is disaster relief. So you design that for disaster relief where you can fly that pretty much anywhere in the world and help out, right?
Yeah, we're looking to partner with the Red Cross. I just had a meeting with them yesterday, and we made a donation, in fact, to help with the relief effort in Puerto Rico, since they got really hurt by the recent hurricane there. But yeah, the idea was that I've been very frustrated in the past that we'll take the situation in the Ukraine as an example. You had all these refugees coming out of the Ukraine, going into Poland, Romania, and we would make donations, but it would take weeks for supplies to show up. So the thinking was that, what if we had our own platform where we could respond immediately? And so one of the uses of the drone that we've discussed with the Red Cross is simply search and rescue, surveillance, reconnaissance, having an eye in the sky to coordinate relief effort. And they don't have those capabilities today. So they've been extremely excited about what it is they're seeing with this.
Very nice. Very nice. Now, your company is quite amazing. I got involved right away with it. I know you have a opportunity for people who want leadership. You can obviously buy the patches straight from a distributor, but also you can become a distributor. How did you come up with this? And you have a great working model, I guess, business model. How did you come up with that? I mean, here you are, a scientist. You're working with the Department of Defense, and then you're like, well, these guys aren't giving me much work, so I got to do something else. So
yeah,
I know how that works.
Happened because I was happy doing what I was doing. But when 9/11 happened, the government wasn't so interested in survival equipment. They were more interested in weapons systems, which I never really got involved with. And so I had a family to support. And after going about 9 or 10 months without having any money coming in, decided that it was time to start looking at taking some of the tech and going out to the civilian market with it. And that's how LifeWave started back in 2002. So we did 2 years of clinical studies, marketing research, setting up manufacturing. And then the question was, how are we going to sell this thing? And I looked at, some very traditional ways of marketing, such as through retail stores like GNC, by radio, TV advertising. And I looked at the network marketing industry, and initially I didn't really care for it. But then once I realized if you had a company and it was set up ethically, you had a good way to compensate distributors, do it fairly, and you had a product that was backed by clinical studies, that it could really be something special. So we started that in late 2004 and did phenomenal with it. And really 2018 was our breakout year because of our stem cell product. So it's been an amazing journey for me.
Wow, that's incredible. And you know, a lot of people are coming in. This is a time frame where economies are collapsing, stock markets are collapsing, where most people start to move into education and care, where they take care of themselves. You know, I would say fitness and so forth are always things that always go up during the time frame where economy goes down. So you're well situated with your business model. How is that working? How's the business working right now?
Oh, incredible. Our business is over 10 times the size that it was when this growth trend began back in 2018. So we're going to hit about $300 million in business this year. So we've been extremely healthy and we're growing. One of the things I think, you know, to your point, that we have done very well is we don't just simply go out and sell our product. It's very important for us that people have foundations for their health, that they're eating properly, they're exercising, staying hydrated. So we do monthly training sessions to educate people about these things and you know, give them some guidance, and so they can go to their healthcare practitioner and start asking questions and design programs that will fit their lifestyle. The other type of things that we do is like when the pandemic hit, we would provide some references to clinical studies and research material so that people could supplement with products that we don't sell to help protect them from COVID-19. And these are services, you know, I think that help to build our community.
Excellent. And I mean, you're just so broad out there and a lot of stuff. So it looks like there's a new technology that's coming in that you've developed. I saw it in the latest conference that you had. It's aromatherapy, and you're
Right.
stimulating the hormones and stuff like that. How that's like blowing me away. How does that work?
Well, it's registered as aromatherapy, but it's really a lexicon in the sense that it's a new type of product that never existed in the market before.
Wow.
And what I've been doing is looking at ways to reverse human aging. And you know, how is that biologically possible? So in our labs, we're going to study different species like planaria. We've studied hydractinia. We look at models like we had a very interesting experiment with ants that doesn't sound like it would be interesting. But what is interesting about this is that these species either don't age, or you can change their genome so they will live 5-6 times longer than normal and never age in the process. And so what we look to do is develop biomimetic technology, meaning that we want to study a natural process and mimic that with a product that people can use that will help them, that'll work on human beings. So I developed this method to use water in a very special way as a delivery system using this approach. And then we embed essential oils and herbs into it. And so when you spray this product on the wrist, it will go directly into the body when you inhale it. And the benefits are that it will elevate things like testosterone, growth hormone, and dopamine and oxytocin.
Wow.
And one of the things I think you'd be very interested in as an athlete is that studies have shown that when you elevate oxytocin, which is an important hormone in the body associated with love, it actually regenerates the muscle tissue and turns older muscle fibers back into more youthful muscle fibers. That work was done at UC Berkeley. So this is all part of providing products to reverse parts of the aging process.
And that's excellent, because, you know, I've read a lot of work on that in the past, and people have, you know, talked about that, how as we age, the body basically starts to starts to attack you and starts to shut you down because you're no longer productive. So it sounds like you're on the right path to basically turn that reproductive process back on and reverse the aging process. That's fantastic.
Yeah, there's many things that people can do today to tell their body to become younger. One of them, of course, is going to be resistance training. There are genes that change as a result of resistance training, and those genes go to a more youthful state. When we practice calorie restriction, which a lot of people don't like, or more preferably intermittent fasting, limiting the time that you eat, those are going to turn on genes that are associated with youth and vitality. So there are things like that. Even consuming olive oil turns on genes, the sirtuin genes that are associated with youth and vitality. So there's very simple things that people can do to start recapturing their youth.
Outstanding. Yeah, I like the intermittent fasting. I started doing that a couple of years ago when I went into a bodybuilding contest phase.
No.
Yeah, and ended up winning, but that intermittent fasting was the thing that really helped me. That 16 hours, and then 8 hours where you eat. It definitely helped me lean down. I was probably leaner than I'd ever been, and I'd done bodybuilding contests like 20 years prior. So
Oh, wow.
it really makes a difference. Intermittent fasting, of course, your products are cutting edge and pushing that envelope even more. I'm very excited about them. So I'm gonna share the screen again real quick. Here's the product line, the X39. I'll put the link in the description box so you guys can see this. There's also opportunities in here, like we were just talking about, the way you can join. There's a link in here in the top to join. I came in at the very highest level. I knew right away because of the background that, Navy SEALs, we love, to push the envelope. And this is the product that's going to help you guys push that envelope, stay healthy, turn around the stem cell process. That's I think at 35, it's like 50% depleted. And by the time you hit your 60s or 70, it's almost 100% depleted. Is that correct? Something like that?
Yeah, so it depends on a number of different factors. It can depend on not only your biological age, but also on your overall health and pre-existing conditions. But generally speaking, we would say that over the age of 60, that a person's copper peptide levels and stem cell activity would be declining by about 60 to 80%. And by the time people get into their mid 70s, there's virtually no stem cell activity left in the body. So our goal is to give people an affordable alternative to stem cell injections and have something that's safe and very effective, and of course backed by clinical research.
Yeah, and I thank you for that, because I was looking into the stem cell injection process, and once I saw your product, I was like, "Yep, I found the answers." Because there's something else out there, and then
Yeah.
it's always been that way for me. I've like, there's got to be something better, and then I saw your stuff. So, thank you so much for that. Now, we've talked about unbelievable cutting edge technologies and that you're involved in and pushing the envelope on. What do you see for the future of the company? What's going forward?
Yeah, so I'm experimenting with a technology now that has been I went through a concept phase where I was creating a model for how to create this tech, and then went through research and development. It resulted in a prototype. We did preliminary lab testing. This has been going on. The lab testing has been going on for about 6-8 months now. And now we're getting ready to go into trials. And this is a technology, it's a new type of light therapy technology, but I'm taking what we've learned from our studies with lobster and ants and applying that into a biomimetic device. So this would be a device that you would wear in your body. You could hang it over the chest. You could wear it on the wrist, like a Fitbit, Apple Watch kind of thing. But what it would do is stimulate the skin with the same wavelengths of light and other things that some of these species use, where they do not age. And what we're hoping is that we're going to see this same effect in human beings. The initial testing has been extraordinarily promising.
Yeah, and that's one of the amazing things, and I think that's how you've been able to push and get these products out there, because there's a lot of companies out there that don't want us to get these great products, but you're getting you know, doing the research, doing the testing and stuff like that, and you're getting all the backing from these corporate, I guess the FDA and stuff like that comes in and, like, you know, looks at your stuff and gives you the okay on this. How are you bypassing a lot of stuff that a lot of people get shut down on?
Yeah, so regulatory is extraordinarily important.
Mhm.
So we're in over 80 countries, and every time we go into a country, we would set up a business. We hire an attorney. We file for regulatory approval, and most of the time they'll come back and say, "Well, you guys are, you know, a general good or general wellness." We don't usually get regulated as a medical device because we don't make medical claims.
Mhm.
And that's what we do in the US. We are categorized as what's called a general wellness product. And so as long as we make claims about general health, we don't have any issues with FDA. But on some of the newer things that we're doing, so for example, we've done some tests over the past 3 years where we demonstrated that we could safely lengthen human telomeres, and by some pretty extraordinary amounts. We
Nice.
took a pilot group of people, and the average age reversal was 8.5 years in only 6 months. So that's a product we've yet to bring to market. And you know, the issue with that is we'll probably be asked by FDA to spend a lot of money and time doing clinical research, and they might want to regulate it as a drug. So I'm not sure how we're going to tackle that quite yet.
So I see you have the Iron Man stuff in the background. Did Tony Stark, you know, that is that you?
Well, you know, I'm an inventor at heart before everything else. So Tony Stark is an inventor and an entrepreneur, and I like to help people in need, like any superhero. So I resonate with Tony Stark and Iron Man for sure.
Outstanding. That's very good.
Yeah.
All right, David, you know, absolutely incredible. There's, like, you know, tons more we could talk about probably in the future. And as more stuff comes out, I think, you know, it'd be great to get you back on and talk about this. Thanks so much for coming on. Is there any final words you'd like to say before we, you know, wrap it up?
Well, I just want to thank you for your time today and the opportunity to get a chance to talk to you. And I think the most important thing is that many people face challenges in their life, and sometimes they might feel that there's really no answer, there's no hope. But there's always answers out there. I would say turn to God, look to God, and pray, and you'll find the answer. It'll show up in your life. There's always hope.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's a great way to end it. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. It's been a
Right.
pleasure.
Same.
Bye now.